Hey everybody, it's Party Elite. Welcome back to our IXION Let's Play, where after a very, very long time of roaming around, it seems as though we're on the cusp of finally finding Remus. Boo me all you want. I've been waiting so long to make some kind of a joke with regards to the name Remus, and that's the best I got so far. Don't worry, I'll come up with more as the episodes continue. But folks, we have reached the final horizons. What a beautiful name for a beautiful objective. The system of Ilia should, if all things go well, be the final home for the Tiqqun and humanity as well. We have a probe on hand, so why don't we go ahead and launch it immediately to seek out a point of interest in this system. That is also our objective, which I can only assume to actually, yes, be Remus. It's somewhere in this region over here, and there you go. Let's go ahead and send you over, buddy, because we're not really desperately seeking out any other resources. We've got plenty of everything else we need. We've arrived in a very, very good situation, so I'm feeling somewhat comfortable, which of course means everything's going to go sideways in just a handful of cycles. But for the time being, let's remain hopeful, shall we? Let's send this probe on over, and based on many of your suggestions from the comments section of the previous episode, let's go ahead and focus on improving our colonization training center, just to make sure that we are in fact able to supply as many colonists as we need for the purpose of building a whole new home for humanity. It's quite the requirement. So let's begin with anti-nihilist conditioning, which is a hilarious name for a technology. Reduces training time by 1 cycle. Sounds good. And then we'll be able to induce sacrifice. That sounds a little concerning, but reduces training time by 2 cycles after we actually get the anti-nihilist conditioning. Kind of interesting the order it's been positioned in, but maybe we've already unlocked something else that allowed us to get anti-nihilist conditioning. Nonetheless, then we've got the dormitory cell. Each training session can now accommodate 50 non-workers as opposed to 15. Holy! And then we've got team rotation. Each training session can now accommodate 200 non-workers. Oh, you know what? I should have been working on this a lot sooner, because just seeing that these technologies are available and seeing what they actually do, that tells me that we're going to need, I don't know, maybe thousands of colonists to actually get Remus settled, which makes sense. Again, right, this isn't just an experiment at this point in time. We're fairly convinced that Remus is humanity's new home, and Reem wasn't built in a day, so it's going to need a lot of people and a lot of time. Wow. Okay. Let's get the anti-nihilist conditioning done first, and then we'll play it by ear and see how things go. Let's take a look at the system map as the probe heads out, and as the Fermi is sent to investigate Palatine as well. Separately, I should perhaps also actually build an additional science ship, just to make sure that we are, staying as efficient as possible, that we are in fact, investigating as many points of interest as quickly as possible, and it's nice to have a pair of science ships. So let's get an additional one going immediately. This will be sensitive, okay? Fair enough. This is in the same world as light bulb as far as science ship names are concerned. I would have much preferred to keep Einstein, but hey, their sacrifice will not be forgotten, not anytime soon. Let's get the sensitive and the Fermi pairing up, and let's make sure that we have enough non-workers here to be turned into colonists. Sector 3 has 93 non-workers, which isn't actually that many, so why don't we go ahead and do this? Why don't we go ahead and pull 435 colonists from Sector 3 to Sector 4, and the same number of non-workers from Sector 4 to Sector 3. And that way we kind of keep a balance of population between the two places. Though again, if they surpass a population of 800, their alternative life centers will be just that much more efficient, right? So that's something to keep in mind as well. But 435 colonists from 3 to 4. So 435 only colonists from Sector 3 to Sector 4. Let's get those guys moving, start that migration, and just again, maintain a balance of population. Let's go ahead and, I realized I didn't have to close that, but let's go ahead and get 459 non-workers, so 459 only non-workers from Sector 4 over to Sector 3. And that way those guys will start to be trained into colonists, and as we get more of the technology, it'll happen just that much faster. We got plenty of electronics, so I'm not too concerned about falling behind there, at least not for the time being, and it's just a matter of time before everyone gets trained up. Again, Sector 5 has over 1,400 non-workers, so we have a lot of wiggle room there. And Sector 1 also has about 700 non-workers too. There's a lot. There's a lot. So maybe I've fallen real far behind as far as colonists are concerned, but hey, we'll be fine. We were able to deal with the Piranesi. We were able to deal with that massive storm in the system with the Etamananki. We'll be able to deal with training a handful of colonists. Famous last words, perhaps, but we'll let time decide. On which note, let's have time moving forward. Let's investigate Palatine here. And let's pick up some of these science points as well, shall we? We got plenty of science. We should be able to research pretty much everything at this point in time. You know, give or take, obviously, but our tech labs are generating science as well, so feeling very comfortable on that front. And this probe is ever so slowly making its way over to its destination. By the time that arrives, I'm sure we'll be able to launch multiple additional probes, and we might be able to find some other points of interest to send additional science ships to as well. Man, this has been, honestly, just loading into this sector and seeing how bright and vibrant and green, you know, yellow-green it is. It's a direct contrast to the red, ominous tones of the previous system. It's, like, I don't know if it was intentional on the developer's part, on the designer's part, but it's like color theory 101 kind of stuff. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. Even if I'm reading too much into something that's not supposed to be read into, it's the vibe I'm getting from the game, and it's quite nice. I mean, visually, this game has been stunning since the very start, and it's just got, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I came across this game when I did, 2 years ago now? And I'm so glad I decided to dive in for a full playthrough, because this has been an experience unlike any other. And I'm glad to see so many of you have been enjoying it and have been watching along. Thank you so much for your company, for your comments, for your occasional chiding remarks as well. I appreciate it all. I do still read through all the comments, folks, so do keep them coming. And if you've been enjoying this series, please don't hesitate to hit the like button either. It does make a very big difference. It lets me know what people are enjoying, lets me know what I should keep doing, how I should adjust future playthroughs of other games as well, and all that kind of stuff. So keep them coming, and let me know your thoughts and feelings. But back down over here, yeah, this probe still got a long way to go. Let's launch a second probe and see if we can't find another point of interest somewhere. There's something nearby here. Oh, yeah, there we go. Something here. Where to go? There you are. Sure. Again, resources are perfectly fine, though I should probably chase after iron sooner rather than later. Having an alloy deficiency, having an iron deficiency is not good, ever. So we should definitely keep an eye out for that. We also do need to keep an eye out for risks we take during random events, or during, I shouldn't call them random events, but I guess scientific events, anomalies, such and such, because who knows how many lives we might lose just trying to investigate, planets, or trying to establish our colony on Remus. Before we look at Palatine, I just wanted to take a peek at the interior, so I could take a look at our tech tree to make sure that we are chasing after. Let's go with the dormitory cell. Each session can accommodate 50. That's a massive improvement compared to the current 15, right? So that's huge. So yeah, let's go with the dormitory cell, and then we'll go ahead and queue up induced sacrifice. And after both of those are done, we can chase after team rotation to get the training sessions up to 200 non-workers instead, which is absolutely huge. I don't think I'm too far behind on this tech. I think now is the right time to pull the trigger on some of this stuff, because some of the other tech we've been using a lot more, over the last handful of systems, I suppose. I'm just going to wait for this probe to arrive at its destination, then we'll send the sensitive over, and then we'll take a look at what's going on Palatine. I am a little concerned. I'm exceedingly concerned about the kinds of events we're going to be coming across, especially because of what we were seeing in that previous system. There was some really sketchy things going on, and I'm just a little concerned about where some of that stuff is going to lead as I launch another probe over here, seeking out some resources. We got ice and iron. Sure, that sounds good. Ice is actually something we might need sooner rather than later, so let's seek some of it out, and let's actually get some of these guys mining it too. Looks like we've got people assigned already. We just have to find the resources to get the work going, so that sounds good to me. As we send the sensitive over to Plutarch, and we investigate what's actually happening here at Palatine. Palatine scan data summary. Despite the interference from the intense cloud cover of Palatine, our probe was still able to detect unusually high levels of mercury on its surface. The planet's environment is toxic, but should not pose a problem for our teams. Transmission from the Fermi's team. We have landed on Palatine near the highest registered concentrations of Mercury. A huge river of the element flows over a cliff, a waterfall in silver, ending in an ocean several kilometers away. We could establish meteorological analysis infrastructure. That sounds good to me. The team of the Fermi will analyze whether Palatine's atmosphere has been affected by the high levels of mercury. I mean, I would imagine so, but let's do it. They've got proper exosuits and everything. It says over here that the environment is toxic but should not pose a problem for our teams. So yes, let us investigate this metallic melange. Establish meteorological analysis infrastructure. That is 100 alloys. We have plenty. So that's fine by me. And why don't we go ahead and send the Zoti? Or perhaps we should send the Drakkar over, because it is located where I believe all of our alloys currently are, though it is still waiting to dock because I think we are backed up on resources, eh? Indeed. Okay, all these guys are waiting. If it's just 100 alloys, I guess any small stockpile will be able to hold it, so let's go with the Zoti, our old familiar. Yes, assign you. And let's just make sure really quickly that if we take a look at the interior, the Zoti is in fact able to pick resources up. We should be good. Where is our alloy deposit? Yeah, okay, we got plenty over here. They're all being hauled over, and I'm pretty sure it'll be 2 round trips because the Zoti can only move 53 per cycle, or per round trip. no better word. We do have an incoming transmission, so why don't we go ahead and take a listen to that and see what's next, because it seems as though we have in fact found Remus, unsurprisingly, exactly where the game told us we would. So, what do you have to say, Eden?
Greetings, people of the VVS Tiqqun. I am Agora of the 3rd generation. We, the Ashen guides, know that you have been searching for Remus for a long time. However, we have established a delicately balanced ecosystem here on this planet that cannot suffer your presence. We remember Dolas as our first and closest ally, as the one who made the Neocon Parsheville teachings visible. Pioneers of genetic conatus, you have suffered repression, persecution, and extermination. In memory of the doors you opened for us, of our common past, it is our turn to open the door for you. There is a way for you and your crew to join us. You may be a part of our community. Shape it. We will no longer be we. You will no longer be you. We will become us. For this to happen, you will need to be genetically optimized for life on Remus. We will incorporate your genetic heritage into our society. You will follow the elder process my predecessor applied to us. You will be adapted to the planet's gravity to photosynthesize. You will live in symbiosis with Remus. Let me be clear, humanity's mistake has been its attempts to transform ecosystems to deny its place in them. We do not terraform, we change. We are not intruders. We are a crystalline part of the ecosystem. You will live longer and work according to your abilities and passions. Our elites guide us with pragmatism, intellect, empathy, and with sensibility. We have no other interest than to follow genetic conatus. Let us show you the new cradle of humanity. Trust in genetic conatus. We followed a self-similar pattern.
Imagine my surprise when I said, "Alright, what do you got for me, Eden?" Only to see Agora, representative of the Ashtonites, lecturing me about the faults of humanity and our only hope of actually colonizing Remus. My mind is trying to process so much all in one go right now in the middle of recording a session that I thought would have a couple of twists and turns, but Nothing quite like this. What? What? Alright, okay. This is clearly not copacetic. Do I have an option is one thing to consider, but do I want to surrender our humanity to become what these guys think humanity is? Is this, I don't know, neo-humanity? Must we become everything they say we need to become? Or can we stay as us and they can stay as them? Or they cannot stay as them if they want to, push and shove. But can we stay as us and also colonize Remus? I'm really curious about how things play out over here. And now I'm almost starting to wonder, did I jump the gun by seeking out Remus right away? Nonetheless, let's close this transmission and see what comes next, I suppose. Because there's some science to collect at Remus. Meanwhile, up over here, the Sensitive has arrived at Plutarch. It's collecting science as well, and we found a huge iron and ice deposit, while my eyes have turned to the lack of silicon, and that's going to become a problem eventually, so why don't we go ahead and launch an additional probe to actually seek out this silicon and maybe some hydrogen as well. Sure, why not? Just in case we need it sooner rather than later. This turn of events has made me ever so slightly nervous about what might be coming up, so let's get time moving forward. And since we've completed our tech research as well, why don't we go ahead and get team rotation going, and then we can consider what next to invest in, I suppose. But for the time being, yes, let's accelerate our colonization capabilities, I suppose. All right, this was unexpected. I suppose there's no other way to put it. Let's get the Fermi. Well, eventually we'll head on over to collect the science and meet with the Ashtengites on Remus. They say a lot of lofty things, but I'm very curious as to their actual ability to enforce said lofty thoughts. I'm quite curious. Plutarch over here is ready for investigation, so let's dive on in and see what's going on. Relativity. All right. Summary of intelligence on Plutarch. First readings from Plutarch reveal the planet to be a gravitational aberration. Potential sites for analysis have been located. Exoskeleton technology will allow our team to begin planetary exploration. Summary of intelligence on Plutarch. Fragmented transmissions from the Sensitive's crew are coming through at an extremely rapid rate. They say they have arrived on site and have been waiting for instructions for several cycles now. Oh no, this is some interstellar level hijinks. Oh man, okay. Is this gonna be, they're gonna age 100 years by the time the ships arrive with all the alloys they need? Because that's the vibe I'm getting. But hey, we must investigate. For science, we must investigate. Setting up infrastructure adapted to Plutarch's extreme conditions will allow the Sensitive's team to study the planet's gravitational phenomena. Despite being a time-consuming approach, funny choice of words there, the team will analyze a large amount of data with the help of a dedicated PA to ensure the generation of statistically robust reports. Now, here's the interesting thing about this system. We don't need science as much as we once did. We simply don't. And so maybe that means we have to be a bit more considerate or careful about where we take our risks and in what way. You know what I mean? I'm going to go ahead and say we'll establish an infrastructure here for advanced analysis because this is quite curious, and we can see it'll only take 0.3 cycles once the resources have actually been delivered. So they are moving at an extremely heightened time rate, which is quite curious. Quite curious indeed. Establish infrastructure to support advanced analysis. Maybe these guys are just extra sensitive to these minor aberrations. Go ahead and give the order, and since the Zoti is currently preoccupied, let's get Pandora going in instead, because I do feel like we're about to open Pandora's box over here. Yep, let's send you over with 150 alloys, and let's make sure we stay on top of the alloy count, because it's very quickly being drained, actually. That's a little nerve-wracking, but back to the interior view, not the exterior. I always do this. Why? And let's just make sure that Pandora can, in fact, be loaded up because we have room enough for it over here. Okay, sounds good. Sounds very good. Probe has completed its scan. That means we've found silicon and hydrogen. Are we actually chasing after it, though? Not at present. Let's go ahead and change things around a little bit like this. Sounds good to me. Has ice all been mined out? I suppose it has. Now, why don't we go ahead and launch an additional probe to find additional ice. I love this. I love the lecture we just got from the Ashtengites and how immediately we are just strip mining this entire system. Got some carbon and silicon over here. Might as well seek it out right now while it's right next to us. And then we'll go chasing after additional ice, because eventually we will need it. Alright, cool stuff, cool stuff. Making some progress down over here? I believe so. They've got all the alloys they need, so 0.6 cycles left. Yeah, making progress, good. And then the Fermi will head on over to Remus. Little nervous, I'm not sure how they'll treat us and treat with us, but hopefully it'll be okay. Very curious about how things play out over here. Plutarch, well, you're waiting for actual resources to arrive, and if we head onto the interior, being piled on, but I'm pretty sure it can only carry 58 per round trip. Sector 1 has had an accident. Is it self-repairing, or do I have to give the order? It's self-repairing. Do I have any upgrades available for our cargo ships, actually? Yes, Frostpunk Tachyon Injector, they move a bit faster. Sure, maybe it's about time for us to do that. And the mining ships, we can have them extracting more from resources. Probably a good idea as well. We should start upgrading some of these ships. I think it's maybe high time we do that. We could also improve our steel mills, reduce how much power they consume. That doesn't seem all that necessary. But again, let's keep in mind there is this mystery tech over here, and who knows if it's a soul tech or if it's like the Piranesi, where a bunch of upgrades get unlocked as well, right? So let's be prepared for that, as our colonization training center should be working rather quickly now. So let's take a quick look, if we get to Sector 3 over here, at what it's capable of. Yeah, 200 every 3 cycles using 1 electronics. That's absolutely massive. Currently, there's 50 colonists in training because that was the previous cycle, but the next cycle onwards, it'll be 200 per, and we'll actually make it through our current batch extremely quickly. So I really need to keep an eye on that. When we reach cycle 1661, I guess, we'll be ready to organize our population a bit again. Just got to try and keep an eye out for that. Nonetheless, to the planetary system map, so that we can take a look at the situation on Palatine and eventually Plutarch. Not just quite yet, but Palatine for the time being. Summary of intelligence on Palatine. Almost all of Palatine's weather systems have been infiltrated by Mercury. The resulting dense and toxic cloud cover would not prove conducive to the development of life or any potential colonization efforts. Yeah, sounds good. Ooh, but we could locate the source of the river. Using the Fermi, the team will trace the Mercury back to its source. Why does that sound like a threatening decision to make? Let's collect the science that we have available to us first, and then we'll go ahead and seek out the source of the river. That sounds more reasonable and intelligent to me. Let's launch this probe as I criticize my own words there. I don't know if it sounds all that intelligent. We have everything we need. We can leave now. We don't have to be there any longer. But that is the cost of hubris, I suppose. Got some silicon over here and some carbon. Sure, let's seek it out. Plenty of resources in this system. One of my top concerns for quite some time was that as we went along, resources would be more and more scarce, and we'd have trouble finding essential resources, but that seems to not be the case, which is great to see. Back to the interior. This tech is done. Let's go ahead and, perfect timing there, chase after upgrades to our mining ships. Yeah, let's get leech mining researched and customizable UI queued up. I'm just wondering what else we might want to chase after. Our health centers are working pretty well. Recovery rate could be a bit faster, I suppose, but it's never been an issue. Not yet, at least. We've got our hull temples. Again, I could chase after Be It just to improve hull's maximum integrity for each hull temple we have built, if I understand it correctly. What else? The Tiqqun hull, I suppose. We could reduce its deterioration rate while it's moving. Seems unnecessary. And what about the waste treatment center? Recycling alloy cost reduced, recycling polymer cost... Oh, not the cost change, but the output change. And self-cleaning lubricants here reduces our power consumption. We do have quite a few of these. We have, what, 4 of them operating right now? Power cost reduction by 5 is a savings of 20. That's not bad. Deoxidized contacts for the steel mill, though, makes what? Waste heat recovery. Yeah, sure, we can consider that afterwards. Back to the system map over here. And let's take a look at Plutarch. What do you have to offer us? Watch, everyone's already turned to bone, or perhaps even dust. First readings from Plutarch reveal the planet to be a gravitational aberration. Potential sites for analysis have been located. Oh, we've already read that. Wait, what? Oh no. We are no longer receiving transmissions from the Sensitives team. Biometric report data suggests that the team experienced accelerated aging. This led to insanity, hunger, dehydration, and finally, death. The expedition will be declared lost. I mean, I kind of saw it coming. I kind of said I wouldn't be surprised if this happened. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that it happened. We could repatriate the sensitive, no longer receiving transmissions. This led to the expedition will be declared lost, but automated flight protocols will recover the sensitive. As much as I'm not a big fan of the name of the ship, why waste those resources, right? Let's not be a wasteful administrator. That would be foolish. Repatriate the sensitive. Dang. Boli, Marita Koenig, Marfa, Andreev, Nori, Sugimura, and Maimuna Al-Maktoum, you will be remembered. And the data listening protocol there. And yeah, see, that I need to start being a bit more wary. It's that loss of life that's going to catch up to us. I just know it. I just know it. Like I was saying, we don't need that much science anymore. And as I say that, our work here at Palatine has been completed as well. And who knows how this is going to play out as we decide to go locating the source of the river, because I can't resist. I can't resist, and I really need to learn to resist. Launch another probe, seek out, what, a huge ice deposit over here. We're maxed out for the time being, though. It doesn't hurt to know where we'll get our next scoop of ice, I suppose. Sure, go for it. 2 cycles before our work at the Palatine is done, and once the sensitive arrives at the Palatine, we'll... that sound effect scared me. We'll send it over to Remus and see what comes of it. But let's take a look at the tech tree, and let's queue waste heat recovery up first, and then the deoxidized contacts. I mean, that's significant power savings, I suppose. It's not a bad idea to accumulate all that. And then we'll just have a bit more wiggle room. 42 power available right now, but again, we have these nuclear power plants that just haven't needed to turn on, and I wonder about that. Though, let me check something here quickly. Sector stability in Sector 5 is at 7. At 4, it's at 6. In 3, it's at 7. In 2, it's at 8. And in 1, it's at 8 as well. I imagine we're going to see some significant hits to stability, just like in the previous system we saw, you know, a -2 from staying there for too long, and then an additional -2 from fear. I wouldn't be surprised if, when news spreads that these guys don't like us, or you know, that they have these demands, I suppose, I imagine people will start to get really uncomfortable, let's call it, and I'm sure we'll have to deal with those consequences, and I'm glad I have the Exo fighting dome, I suppose. The sensitive, what's up with you? Back to the Tiqqun? Are you not, the ship needs more crew to move? Yeah, well, you pick up that crew. There we go. I guess they were just waiting to actually get those guys. Let's send you over to the Remus then, and to the Remus, or rather to Remus, I should say, and see what all this is about. Customizable UI has been unlocked. Okay, excellent. Back to the interior, as we can then at least queue up something for maybe our science ship. Moving faster isn't all that necessary, I don't think. Improved filters. Sure, let's queue you up. And we'll get the dedicated extraction PA as well, just to get faster mining, I suppose, when it eventually becomes necessary. Fermi has actually done its work. Okay, I would like to send the Fermi instead of a sensitive, actually. So let's see what's going on Palatine. The team of the Fermi discovered the source, a huge lake of mercury from which the liquid metal flows. During survey efforts, Takumi Shima fell into the lake and seems to have ingested larger quantities of the mercury. Oh no. They were saved by the team, but mission reports detail how Takumi Shima experienced multiple hallucinatory visions from the exposure. Takumi Shima describes witnessing UN attacks on Dolos infrastructure, wars and famine sweeping across the earth, massive crowds being crushed together, fleeing from deadly mobs. Dolos security protocols recommend Takumi Shima be transferred to an infirmary immediately. Alright, sounds good. And the data listening protocol there then. And let's go ahead and repatriate the Fermi and transfer Takumi Shima to an infirmary. The Fermi's crew will gather their equipment and leave Palatine. That sounds good to me. I'm glad everything's looking okay by and large, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Make sure they're safe, and let's get the sensitive back around Palatine to collect the science. And let's get Fermi back to the Tiqqun. I don't know if that's necessary, but I saw Takumi Shima was still there, and it looks like one of the ship's crew are injured. The ship must return to the Tiqqun to replace missing crew before starting another expedition. So once they're done there, we should be able to move the Fermi over to Remus instead. I don't know, I'm just a sucker for... I mean, hey, What a suitable name for when we have first contact with what is essentially aliens or extraterrestrials, right? As far as we're concerned. Let's go ahead and launch another probe out to a point of interest, I suppose. Lots of resources, lots of hydrogen, lots of ice. There's a planet somewhere here as well. Somewhere here. Where are you? There you are. Boom. Perfect. Seek everything out. Fermi, are you ready? Yeah. Janani Bhat has replaced our injured individual. Let's send you over to Remus, Fermi. Right? You're headed over. Yes, and let's take a look at our interior real quick to make sure we are working on tech appropriately. Steel mill, let's queue up the deoxidized contacts, and then we'll go ahead and chase after, what was it again? Waste treatment center's self-cleaning lubricants. Yeah, I'll save us some power. Doesn't hurt, I suppose. Cool. Cool. So Plutarch's been taken care of. Very unfortunate circumstances there. Collecting a ton of science from Palatine, and getting ready to communicate with the folks on Remus as well. Yeah, everything's going okay. I'm just wondering if there's anything I need to concern myself with. If there's anything I'm not thinking about that's going to come to bite me in the butt as we almost get to cycle 1661. So what's happening in Sector 3 actually right now? We're training 200 colonists right now. We are indeed. So those non-workers, those 222 non-workers will become 22 non-workers when we actually get to cycle 1661, or perhaps 1662. 1661 was just easier to remember, I suppose. So maybe I should consider sending some non-workers from Sector 5 in. Let's do this. Let's get 330 colonists from Sector 3 moved over. So 330 colonists from Sector 3 over to Sector 5, again trying to keep a balance of population. And let's get 333 non-workers from Sector 5 to Sector 3, just to keep things flowing, just to keep those colonists coming, I suppose. Yeah, sounds good. It'll take Sector 3's population past the 800 threshold as well. So you should now be producing +2 stability or +3 stability, or am I misremembering? Is it 1,000 where you get to +3? Sector 4, where is your? Hey, you're +2. Yeah, it's fine. Stability is not a concern. I don't need to worry about that, to be honest. Almost done here. Yeah, you know what? I was right. 1661, 1662. Round about there is when we would have run out, I guess. Cool. Back to the system map. And over to Remus. We're almost there. Let's speed time up a little bit. Don't want to dally. Don't want to take things too lackadaisically. Launch another probe. Huge iron deposit up over here. Probably not a bad idea to scout that out and mine it out nice and early. These guys have largely been mined out already. And there's actually plenty of iron to pick up over here. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Crew movements have been completed as well. Very good. Lots more non-workers to actually process. Excellent. Almost arrived at Remus. We're going to collect the science first. Palatine's almost been taken care of. This probe is taking so long to get here. My goodness. And there we go. The Fermi has arrived in the orbit of Remus as we are taking a look at our tech tree once more to get self-cleaning lubricants researched, and the mining ship can perhaps chase after the dedicated extraction PA as well. Just make things a little bit faster. Doesn't feel necessary, truth be told, but here we are. We'll move our science ships more quickly as well, I suppose. Makes it easier to actually get to our destinations and seek out information. And I am quite curious about this unknown element for our docking bay as well. What's that about? And when does that get revealed? And why is it unknown? Right? Because like you'll remember with the Piranesi, we simply didn't have anything until we found new bits and pieces of information. But with the docking bay, it literally says unknown. So why? Why is that different? Makes me very suspicious. Makes me very suspicious, and we don't have that anywhere else. It is what it is. And it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. Back to the system map. Probe has arrived at Vulcan, and the Sensitive has completed the science collection at Palatine at the same time. So let's send you over to Vulcan, and let's investigate the situation on Remus and meet with the Ashen Guides. Folks, don't hold your breath. Summary of intelligence on Remus. Agora of the 3rd generation, representative of the Ashen Guides, has invited us to send a delegation to Remus to observe their community and way of life on the planet. Transmission from the Fermi's team. Administrator. We were greeted most solemnly by the Ashtongites. Their morphology is different to ours. Taller, thinner, their skin has a slight green shade to it. Atmospheric readings indicate that oxygen is present, but in insufficient quantities to support the unadapted Tiqqun crew on Remus without respiratory assistance. We have not witnessed any signs of poverty or conflict, and the population density is much lower than that of the Earth we left. We temporarily leave Remus. The crew of the Fermi will leave Remus, but a new expedition may be sent there. No, let's meet with the Ashtongites. The crew of the Fermi will sit in meeting with the Ashtongites and their representatives. It'll take 2 cycles, but we must. We have no other option. Let's see what they say, and let's go ahead and launch an additional probe to find any remaining planets. We got the outermost ring done. The ring after that, done. The ring after that, done. The ring after that, done. So there's one last planet left on this ring. Up over here, it seems. Is this another ring I see? Yes, it is. Okay, let's go ahead and chase after this planet up there, and then the planet that's somewhere over here afterwards, just to cover all of our bases and make sure we are investigating all points of interest as quickly as possible. Again, just to make sure, if we can research everything, why don't we? Why don't we? As this massive backlog of ice is very quickly being worked through, actually. Food is still looking good. People are still being woken up. That's all very comfortable, so that's good to see. And colonists are still being produced. We need more non-workers here. Yeah, what a waste. What a waste, what a waste. I miscalculated. That's okay. 400 colonists can be shifted over to Sector 5. So, 400. Not 4,001. 400 colonists from Sector 3 to Sector 5. And 400 non-workers from Sector 5 to Sector 3. Cool. Slowly but surely processing everybody. Back to the system map over here. Almost done at Remus. And almost, well, actually, we're nowhere near Vulcan. Very far away. Let's launch this probe, meanwhile, to the planet down over here. It would have been nice to have that planet in our sights before we sent the Sensitive on such a long journey. But hey, it is what it is. As we, finish that objective and see what the Ashtongites have to say. Transmission from the Fermi's team. We have met with the Ashtongite representatives. We were surprised at first by the limited ceremony of what seems to us a momentous occasion. Received on a beach, we were then taken to a cliff top that looked out over their ocean. Many Ashtongites joined the gathering. Some simply watched, others inspected our suits and devices. Following our exchanges with Agora and the other members of the Ashtongite hierarchy, a proposal was made. If we agree to join them, the Ashtongites will reveal the locations of temples within the Ilia system. Each temple contains a fragment of a blueprint for a bioengineering center. Constructing this on board the Tiqqun would allow us to adapt ourselves for life on Remus. So we could either accept their offer, we will transcend human nature and adapt to the planet Remus, we will join the Ashtongite community, or we can temporarily leave Remus. That is a very, very monumental decision to make on a whim. I'm gonna hang tight on this, just for the time being. Let's hold on to that. Keep the Fermi in orbit, and let's just contemplate the implications while taking a look at what else is actually happening in this system. I can go searching myself, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are additional layers or opportunities. I mean, it's possible that things become very linear right now, but it's also possible that there are alternate endings. I'm not sure. I don't know. But that's the vibe I'm getting right now. We don't have any objectives right now. We're not being rushed to accept that offer or anything. So look, I'm going to take my time. I hope that doesn't bother anybody. Let me know in the comments if it does. But I do think it'll give us a more holistic understanding of what's going on before we promise to change the lives of over 5,000 individuals. Not 5,000, but 5,500 plus individuals, forcing them to become something else, right? And if it's the only means of survival, if it's the only way for us to actually settle on Remus, then so be it. Humanity must be shed, I suppose. It must evolve. It's what brought us to where we are, and the complete destruction of Earth and the human race. But if we must evolve, then we must evolve, and we will. But I'm not going to jump to that conclusion. Let's take a look at what Numitor has to offer, what Vulcan has to offer, and whatever this planet over here has to offer as well. Now, unfortunately, Fermi is locked in place for the time being, so it'll take us a bit of time, but hey, if we speed time up, then it won't feel as long. I'm curious now as well, like, so far, colonists haven't come up as a point of conversation. I'm curious as to what all the panic and the fuss in the comments were about. Not to say that you guys were trying to mislead me or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. But I'm very curious now because from what I saw in the comments, it made sense to me at the time. I was like, oh yeah, true. We're about to colonize Remus. That'll probably take a couple thousand colonists or something. We should probably focus on that tech. And then when I actually saw what that tech can do in terms of the numerical changes, I was thinking, all right, well, hey, this needs clearly we need this many colonists. But now I'm growing concerned. Also, we just came across Romulus. I was wondering if there would be a Romulus in this system as well, and if there is, then why wasn't the one that was colonized called Romulus? Maybe he was intentionally trying to, shake off human history, I suppose, and intentionally, opting to call the new home Remus as opposed to Romulus and naming a different planet Romulus just to kind of fork in the road moment, kind of a reference to a crucial part of human history, that kind of a thing. Interesting. I love reading too much into games that are so, dense, in a good way, the good kind of dense. But we'll check Romulus out as soon as we're done with Vulcan over here. What do you have to offer us, Vulcan? There are numerous electromagnetic disturbances on the surface of the comet Vulcan. First visuals capture the comet's vibrant green tail. Transmission from the Sensitive's team. This is the team of the Sensitive. We have landed on Vulcan. Proximity analysis indicates the comet is shedding large amounts of boron. Significant electromagnetic disturbances have also been detected. They appear to be similar in nature to those that were observed on the Rokitansky comet in the Immortan system. Oh, that makes me extremely uncomfortable. Study the electromagnetic disturbances. The crew of the Sensitive will attempt to locate the source of the electromagnetic disturbances. 2 cycles it'll take. Let's try it. God, the Sensitive is going to be extremely sensitive to bad circumstances, isn't it? I can see it. I can absolutely see it. Ooh, there's another point of interest somewhere out here. What do we have here? What do we have here? I'm extremely suspicious. Especially with there actually being a planet called Romulus here as well. I am naturally drawn to that.
People of the VVS Tiqqun, we have detected the presence of a BMS warship in the Ilia system. The Piranesi has followed in the footsteps of your Vol trace. We have no weapons, no military solution against such an enemy. To ensure the survival of this settlement in Ilia, you will have to find a way to silence him, once and for all.
That's impossible. We destroyed the Piranesi. Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 not like this. Not like this. Okay, hang on a second. Let's launch this last probe and let's get those countermeasures going. This is... No. There's another point of interest out there as well. What are all these points of interest? I don't like any of this. Oh, man. Oh, man. Is this the Piranesi? Or is this a Piranesi? Are we the Tiqqun or are we a Tiqqun? Is our crew the crew of the Tiqqun or a crew of the Tiqqun? Are we living in parallel universedom? This is something I kind of touched on when we first came across those strange wrecks and the changes to our uniforms and stuff. And now, after the destruction of the Piranesi, seeing it here, I grow just that much more convinced, and the panic in my voice is from these points of interest that seem to not lie, along the orbital lines, which harkens back to that wreckage that we came across in the previous system. That was a bit of a surprise to me at the time as well. I was like, oh, a second planet on the same orbital path, the same orbital radius. Oh, cool. That's interesting. And then it turned out to be a horror story, and this has got me thinking. Okay, hang on. All right. I don't like I mean, I love this, which is why I don't like this. We have a couple of events happening on the Tiqqun as well. Some conversations to be had, I'm sure. But first, let's make sure that our probes are no longer being built, and instead we are building countermeasures. Flip to countermeasures, please. Get rid of this probe. We have alloys, or not alloys, sorry, but polymers available, so that sounds good. And yeah, let's take a look at what some of these events actually are. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. You know what? Let's start with the alternative life center, because I feel like this will be less nightmarish, and then we'll take a look at the tech lab. What do you have over here, buddy? Administrator, everything confirms this sad truth. The Piranesi has followed us to the Ilia system. God damn. What? Great. Guess who's back? Are you for real right now? What do you have to say, Naraka? Oh, right, we're paused. Well, let's hear it.
Administrator, I am not dead yet. I will feed on your pitiful community. I will build my rebirth. Are you ready for your simulation?
Absolutely monstrous. I love this thing. I love whatever they did to the voice there. It's glorious and terrifying. So if that's what this event was, then what's this event? Ooh. It's this. Naomi Protocol. Commencing DDoS attack to flood Eden Vigilance Network. Administrator. This is Fuzia Latif of the Sector 1 Scientific Syndicate. We're once again taking the liberty of overriding Dalos protocols in order to contact you. We did some analysis on Eden after she was attacked by the Piranesi's PA. We've unearthed some interesting files. Information on Remus and numerous colonization protocols were present in Eden's database from the beginning of the Tiqqun mission. And that's not all. We also discovered details on another viable exoplanet within the Ilia system. The planet Romulus. This planet has been masked so that it doesn't appear in any reports you receive. We've put in place administrative countermeasures, and we encourage you to send a team to the planet. I've heard you. Folks. I don't even know where to begin. Okay, so the Piranesi is hot on our tail. Maybe it is, in fact, the Piranesi, and maybe I was just thinking too deep into this whole timey-wimey stuff. Maybe that's the Piranesi. Sounds like it. We've got our countermeasures coming through. Hopefully that'll do the trick, and hopefully our drone jammers are still active, and they're still able to do whatever it is they were doing. I have no idea still, but if they're helping, they're helping. We are seeking out points of interest that we can dodge to, so that's cool as well. If they start to launch, drone swarms that swarm around planets and stuff like that, so that's cool. Man, all that calm and tranquility has very quickly been erased, eh? And I'm glad I did not jump to the decision on Remus, because clearly Romulus is relevant. Exactly how I'd actually thought. Oh man. I love it. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, there's got to be something going on over there. It's like the Romulus Remus thing is too, I don't want to say like too on the nose, because that's typically said in a negative connotation, but I do mean it in a positive way. It's way too in our face for it to not play out like this, and I'm very curious. Let's take a look at Vulcan here real quick, and then perhaps we could investigate Romulus ASAP. But let's see what's been going on Vulcan. We ventured down into the crevices of Vulcan, seeking the source of the electromagnetic disturbances. Entering a small cave full of luminescent boron crystals, we stopped to take readings. Results seemed to vary. Proceeding further in, we found a large, floating gray sphere, similar to the one found by the Galileo crew. After liaising with the Tiqqun scientific community, a number of controversial theories have been put forward and proposals made for possible experiments that might be attempted on the sphere. Debate continues. I've noticed a growing fascination for the sphere among the other expedition members. This is absurd, since it's obviously only for me. God damn it. God damn it. NDLP, what do we do here? Do we analyze the sphere? Do we perform suggested experimentation? Do we allow the team free reign? That's Naomi Protocol. The Sensitives team will be free to study the sphere as they see fit, or do we leave the comet? This thing has always been at least a little threatening. The crew of the Sensitive will study the sphere whilst under strict psychological surveillance. Sounds dangerous. Perform suggested experimentation. Based on our previous interactions on Rokitansky, scientists of the Tiqqun have proposed a number of theoretical experiments that could be conducted on the sphere. These should allow for a complete mapping of the electromagnetic interactions generated by it. That might be the way to go. We can't leave the comet and come back to these decisions, unfortunately. So we can't go and investigate Romulus right now because both of our science ships will stay occupied. Honestly, staying just sounds extremely dangerous. These guys are going to go mad. They're going to kill each other or something. This does not sound like anyone's in their ideal headspace right now. But what's life without risks, right? Controlled risks. We'll perform the suggested experimentation. Again, scientists of the Tiqqun have been probably considering this ever since our previous interactions on Rokitansky. So perhaps, we have reasonable ideas, and hopefully the team of the Sensitive will actually adhere to the rules. Perform suggested experimentation. 2 cycles it'll take, and then we can head on over to Romulus to investigate this hidden gem, this secret. Lift the veil on these lies that we've been fed probably since before our mission had even launched. And meanwhile, Buddy here is just sitting ominously. We have no pulsar. We have no weapons. We have no actual military options to take it down. Maybe we should start accumulating science again just to make sure, if something comes up, we're ready to research it as soon as it becomes available. My goodness. My goodness. You know what? Maybe it's time for steel fiber patches. I guess we're going to be dodging around a lot more in this system as well than I'd previously expected. So let's get that done. And I thought I saw people starving in Sector 5. What's that? Not enough food in Sector 5. Oh, it's being delivered. They'll be fine. That's okay. Back to the system map over here. Vulcan is almost done. And do we just build another science ship? Because otherwise we're going to start falling behind on some of this stuff. Piranesi isn't actively chasing us. It's staying on the outskirts of this system for the time being, which is promising. We're almost done at Vulcan, and once we check that out, we'll move towards Romulus. God. I'm glad I sent those probes out to seek out iron especially, because now if all we do is build countermeasures, at least we'll have plenty of sources of iron on hand, and silicon too for that matter. And hey, carbon. You know what? I'm glad we've done what we've done so far. And I'm also glad that we have a bit more power available right now. 65 power available because of all those tech upgrades we did. But let's take a quick look at our colonist situation. Sector 3 currently has no non-workers, so we got to figure this out. Let's go ahead and send, I guess, 552 colonists from Sector 3 over? So 552. Only colonists from Sector 3 to Sector 5. And let's get 552. Well, that doesn't make sense. We should do something divisible by 200. Why don't we go ahead and send 600 only non-workers from Sector 5 to Sector 3. And Sector 3, how much space do you actually have? You have room for 600 people? You do, actually. Housing capacity of 896. Current population of 264, add 600, that's 864. So we do have enough room for an additional 600 non-workers. Cool. Start the migration. That was a mistaken double click there. We're okay. Didn't go through. And let's go ahead and finish our work here on Vulcan and see if everyone went mad and decided to kill each other. Please no.
A science ship has arrived at its destination.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Transmission from the Galileo. This is the crew of the Galileo. I don't know how you managed it, Administrator, but we have returned. We have been with the Galileo, existing in ways that seem inconceivable to us now. Passing through strange, solid, liquid, and gaseous lands, matter behaved in a pattern outside of our accepted understanding. Time was not linear. Days were lived where the chronology of actions was not the same for every member of the team. We drifted in this Browsian morass, lost, till we were extricated by the sensitive team. Our ship is now in orbit of Vulcan. What? End the data listening protocol. Leave the comet. The team will board the sensitive and leave Vulcan. I'm at a complete loss for words. What did happen to the Galileo? How did we lose the Galileo? Was it on Rokitansky? I can't remember now. What happened? This game is wild, man. This game is wild. Alright, okay. I guess we have the Galileo now. Jacob Eisenman, Edith Petit, Chiao Lee, Jacob Ocelot, Sullivan Tyrell. Do I recognize any of those names? Not really, to be honest. What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? I feel like I have to go back and see what happened in that episode. But we now have 3 science ships, as I was hoping for. So I guess it's kind of ideal that I went to Vulcan before anywhere else, but I guess that means Fermi heads on over to Romulus, Galileo heads on over to Numitor, and we try to head on away from the Piranesi as quickly as possible. But folks, all that and much, much more will have to wait until next time. This is where we're calling it a session. I need to process everything that went down today. What is going on? There is a lot of pressure mounting. We have the Ashen Guides on Remus, who are asking us to change our morphology, to basically do genetic modification on our entire species to be welcome on Remus. Then we found out about Romulus, and then we found out that Romulus has been intentionally kept secret from us, and it's a viable exoplanet. Then the Galileo comes back out of nowhere, but not before the Piranesi comes back out of nowhere. And there are these mysterious points of interest scattered about that we still haven't actually looked at. We are still sending probes out there. They're just short of arriving, and I'm very, very curious to see what's actually going on. Folks, this has been a strangely intense session. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed playing it. If you had a good time, leave a like down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on all that's been going down today. So feel free to leave a comment sharing your opinions as well, because this is wild. This is wild. As always, a massive thanks goes out to all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big old thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.